November 25th, 1863, 3:47 p.m. Ulysses S. Grant is about to do something that will change the American Civil War forever. In exactly 32 minutes, he will prove he is unbeatable. Bruce Catton called it the moment that defined America's destiny. Quote, "And you're about to find out why." Imagine this. 25,000 Union soldiers have been trapped in Chattanooga for 2 months, besieged, starving, dying. The Confederates control all the surrounding mountains. Lookout Mountain, Missionary Ridge, it's a death trap. But Grant has a plan that no one, not even his own generals, believes will work. Bruce Catton wrote in Grant Takes Command that Grant looked from Orchard Knob and said something that chilled the blood of everyone around him. "Today, we either take Missionary Ridge or we lose the war." Quote, but here's what Catton discovered in the archives that no one tells. Grant wasn't just attacking a mountain. He was executing the most audacious military maneuver of the Civil War. And it all hinged on 32 specific minutes that began at 3:47 p.m. In this video, you will discover why Grant ordered a suicide attack his generals called madness, the fatal mistake Braxton Bragg made at 3:52 p.m., how 6,000 soldiers did the impossible in 32 minutes, the single phrase Grant spoke that made Thomas advance against all orders again. And in the end, you'll understand why Bruce Catton wrote that these 32 minutes didn't just win Chattanooga, they forged the man who would save the Union. But first, I need to tell you what really happened that autumn of 1863. September 1863. General William Rosecrans has just suffered a devastating defeat at Chickamauga. Bruce Catton describes in his works how 40,000 Union soldiers took refuge in Chattanooga, completely surrounded by Braxton Bragg's Confederate forces. The statistics are terrifying. The Cracker Line, the only supply route, was cut. Soldiers were eating half a hardtack biscuit a day. 200 horses starved to death in 3 weeks. Catton documents that soldiers were eating tree bark. October 23, 1863. Grant arrives in Chattanooga, and Catton reports his first observation. Quote, "The situation is worse than Washington imagines." Quote, "But Grant sees something no one else does, an opportunity." Catton wrote that Grant told his staff, "Bragg has made a mistake. He has given us too much time to think." Quote, and then Grant began planning something that would change everything. Missionary Ridge, 500 feet high, steep, 3 lines of Confederate defenses. Bruce Catton called it the strongest position in Tennessee. Quote, "Any frontal attack would be a massacre." But Grant doesn't plan an ordinary frontal assault. Catton reveals that Grant develops a 3-phase strategy that depends on perfect timing and something no general had attempted before: coordinating 3 simultaneous attacks across impossible terrain. November 24th. The Kasha, Battle above the clouds, on Lookout Mountain. Hooker attacks through the fog. Catton describes how Grant uses this battle as a genius distraction. While Bragg focuses on Lookout Mountain, Grant is positioning his pieces for the final blow. Result: Lookout Mountain falls. But that's just the setup. Grant knows the real battle will be on Missionary Ridge, and he has only one chance. November 25th, 6 a.m. Grant observes Missionary Ridge from Orchard Knob. Catton documents that Grant spent 3 hours studying every Confederate position, every path, every possible line of retreat. Sherman will attack the north flank, Hooker the south flank. And Thomas will do something Grant hasn't fully revealed even to Thomas yet. 3 p.m. The pieces are in place. 23,000 Union men against 40,000 Confederates in a superior position. Mathematically impossible. But Grant has a trump card Catton revealed years later. He knows Braxton Bragg better than Bragg knows himself. And then, at 3:47 p.m., Grant gives the order that will change everything. But before I tell you what happened in those crucial 32 minutes, you need to understand why this order was so revolutionary. 3:47 p.m. Grant turns to Thomas, and according to Catton, says only, "Take the rifle pits at the base of the ridge. Stop there and await orders." Simple, right? Wrong. Catton discovered that Grant knew exactly what he was doing. Thomas looks at Missionary Ridge. 6,000 men from the 4th and 14th Corps, against 3 fortified lines. It's suicide. But he obeys. 3:52 p.m. Thomas's men advance. The first Confederate line at the base of the ridge collapses. Catton explains why. Bragg made a fatal strategic mistake. He split his defenses into 3 weak lines instead of 1 strong line. 3:56 p.m. Something unexpected happens. The Union soldiers, instead of stopping at the base as ordered, start climbing Missionary Ridge on their own. No orders. No permission. 3:59 p.m. Grant sees 6,000 men scrambling up a steep mountain, under heavy fire. His generals are panicking. Quote, "Who ordered that?" Quote, they yell. And Grant, according to Catton, smiles and replies, "No one." And everybody, quote, 4:04 p.m. The impossible is happening. Soldier by soldier, the Confederate lines begin to break. Catton describes how Confederate morale collapses when they see Yankees appear out of nowhere at the top of the ridge. 4:19 p.m. Exactly 32 minutes after giving the initial order, Grant sees Union flags waving at the top of Missionary Ridge. The impossible has happened. Bruce Catton called this the moment Grant became unbeatable. Quote, "Bragg is in full retreat. 40,000 Confederates flee to Georgia. The road to Atlanta is open. Sherman can march to the sea." And Grant has just proven he can do the impossible. Bruce Catton wrote that these 32 minutes didn't just win Chattanooga. They forged the man who would save the Union. Lincoln saw the reports and knew, this is the general who can defeat Lee. March 1864. Grant is promoted to General-in-Chief of all Union armies. The war changed course forever, all because of 32 minutes at Missionary Ridge. And that is the story of the 32 minutes that proved Grant was unbeatable. Exactly as Bruce Catton documented in his historical works. But here's what's truly incredible. Grant would use this same strategy, attacking when it seems impossible, to defeat Robert E. Lee at Richmond. If you want to find out how Grant applied the lessons of Chattanooga to win the war, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "Unbeatable Grant," because in the next video, I'll show you how those 32 minutes turned into the strategy that brought down the Confederacy. And don't forget, this is real history. Based on the books of Bruce Catton, the greatest Grant expert who ever lived. No fake news, just historical facts that will leave you speechless.